This is the all-new Mercedes-Benz Uber luxury sedan, and as you expect, it is brimming with opulence. But being an S-Class, it's also one of the most technically advanced cars in the world. But is it too smart? Okay, so it's priced at $269,900, which means it's pretty much out of most of our price ranges. But why is this car so important to us? Well, the Mercedes luxury flagship has always been synonymous with the latest motoring technology. This was the first car to ever have crumple zones. So what we end up seeing is that technology filtered down to the cars we'll be buying in a few years. Sadly, we're not driving this today, but I do have enough time just to show you around a bit, starting with the exterior design, which in typical S-Class fashion is very elegant, but somewhat understated, with a nice high shoulder line, pretty much being the main crease, and a newly designed grille with a bit of a hexagonal shape. But the proportions are beautiful. I mean, if you look at it, it almost looks like a C-Class, but it is big, but it doesn't look too big. But it's inside the S-Class's 3.2 metre wheelbase where the interesting stuff really happens. This cabin is so palatial and comfortable, you can put it on Airbnb. The seats, as you'd expect, are absolutely sublime. They're just so supportive. There are actually 18 motors in here and all the different buttons to help you just get the perfect seat selection. And you just wonder how long you'll keep trying to get that. But that said, as soon as I sat in there, I don't know who sat in there behind me, it just already felt perfect. Facial recognition will recognise who you are as soon as you come in. So it'll set everything, including the seats, music settings, even your drive modes, to your tailored preferences. And it'll also recognise you, it doesn't matter if you sit in that seat or in the back seats, to all the different preferences you have in this car, so it just knows you. As we've seen in other Mercedes models, the driver gets a nice digital gauge display, but this one actually has a 3D setting that uses the facial recognition cameras, and what they do, they follow your eyes. So as you move, so does the display a bit, which is actually quite mesmerising. And you sort of wonder, you know, are you going to look at the road or keep looking at this thing that's sort of staring back at you? And it is pretty cool. The S-Class has done away with that sort of big skateboard-sized tablet that we've seen in recent models, and they've separated the screens again, so the driver display is nice and floating there. But then they've also put this beautiful waterfall effect portrait-sized screen that just seems like it's floating over the center console and comes straight down. When you're driving, you're not going to sort of slip all over the place. There's actually some good function to it. And you can control everything, even though there are physical buttons. For example, you can set the seat, you can just do it there, and it's sort of really instant. It just really works well, so even if you've got a sore back, it feels really nice. Of course, the screen is the home of the Mercedes-Benz MBUX Infotainment System and Hey Mercedes. But in the S-Class, instead of just having one for the driver, each passenger has their own screen where you can, ask it to do things independent of the person at the front. So for instance, hey Mercedes, close the rear sun blind. Takes a bit of getting used to, but she does it. Of course, the big attraction of being back here is these seats, which, as you can see, there's oodles of legroom, and they recline and slide back and forward. It's one of those cars where it's probably more fun to be the passenger than the driver. Look, we'll be here all day talking about the many highlights of the S-Class. A couple of things on the outside that are worth mentioning though is 50% of this car is aluminium, which has managed to shed 60 kilograms off the previous model's weight. But one of the cooler things is the rear wheel steering, which takes 2 meters off its turning circle, so you can pretty much spin this in the same space as an A-Class. So is the S-Class too clever? Well, you can never be too clever. But what this does show is what is possible in a car and what we're going to see in the very near future. And if this is any guide, the future is going to be really good.